I heard a rumor that I heard some doctors were actually holding a seminar on shots, but it's down on Bourbon Street tonight. So I don't know any of the details, but be careful. I'd like to thank Dr. Block and Dr. Alden, Dr. Chico, Teresa Wakey, who is just an amazing person and is running around just taking charge of everything and has been phenomenal and made it very easy for all of us. And in particular, my kid's pediatrician. I lived here for almost 14 years as the cartoonist for the Times-Picayune, and I would like to give a special thanks to Danny Bronfman, a wonderful, wonderful pediatrician, and his lovely wife, Melanie. We had the pleasure of eating at Emerald's last night, so if the suit looks a little tight, now you know why. My dad was probably the biggest influence on me becoming a cartoonist, but not for the reasons you may suspect. Oh sure, Dad was creative and really funny, but this story is going in a completely different direction. A direction all of you can probably relate to. Dad would wake every morning at 5:45 and make his way into the kitchen and get dressed and kiss us all goodbye and head off to work. And each morning I would roll over and look at my clock radio and just roll my eyes and wonder how in the world he'd get up 6 days a week that early and head off and come back at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. You see, like you, my dad was a doctor. Actually, I'm proud to say my dad was one of the top doctors at Johns Hopkins Hospital. He has his portrait hung there today. And I tell this story not to brag about my father, although I could spend hours talking about him and his love for medicine and his legendary skills and his ravenous appetite for more and more knowledge. But I tell this story because it relates directly to pediatricians. You see, as a young doctor, my dad worked for Dr. Blaylock. And he was part of the team that studied Dr. Blaylock's groundworking, blue baby syndrome, shock, shunts, and early heart surgery. Dad went on to become a general surgeon specializing in Crohn's disease. He's now 93 years old. He was thrilled that I was speaking to you today. And he still talks about his days with Dr. Blaylock as a young man working alongside Vivian Thomas. So how did this influence me to become a cartoonist? Well, think back to my clock radio. Picture a long-haired teenager who loved to doodle and hated to wake up early. I knew from a very early age I just didn't have the drive or the discipline to be a doctor. But I greatly admire you as doctors. It's a noble and wonderful profession. I, on the other hand, am a cartoonist. I make people laugh for a living. I punch them in the gut, I kick them in the shins, and I get paid to do it. Where you use a scalpel, I use a sledgehammer. Where you use a hypodermic needle, I use an ink-filled pen. You heal the afflicted, I afflict the heels. I get to work at the crack of 10:30, walk into my office, grab a cup of coffee, turn on the computer, put on the TV, put my feet up on my desk, open up the newspaper, and my editor comes in and says, "Oh, I can see you're busy, I'll come back later." And that's a job. What I'd like to do today is run through some of my cartoons and some of the animations that I've created. It's been a very busy year for pundits, and politicians, and cartoonists. I've been to both political conventions. I was at the debate last week at Hofstra, so I have a lot of stuff. You don't have to worry. I hit both sides evenly. So let's have some fun. I'll show you some of my work.